Are you good to go? All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Cesar Ortega, and I am coming to you from the Aurora Public Library District's West Branch. And today we have a great panel for you. It is the Manga and Anime in the Black Community panel. Today we have three panelists, Chris Eaton, Darius Jefferson, and Tony Weaver Jr., as well as a great moderator, Darius Jefferson. I'm going to pass it over to them right now so they can start this panel. And I've been very excited for this one. So I will let them introduce themselves and what they do. Darius, it's all yours.
Oh, okay. Who would like to start? Shall we start with Mr. Derek? Mr. Judkins, would you like to introduce yourself, what you do?
I thought you were going to start.
Who's going to start?
Oh,
you want me to start?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel like I know your voice, but we'll continue on that. I'm pretty sure I know who you are. But okay, my name is Darius Jefferson, Darius Pronto Pariah Jefferson. I am a dancer of the nationally known dance group, the Future Kings. I am a hobbyist from dance to, literature, poems, all types of things like that, guitar. I am 26 years old, gonna be 27 in December. And I want to say this specifically, my first real anime that I started was Full Metal Alchemist. So, how would y'all like to start? Mr. Tony, or you feel me, who would like to start?
I'll dive in, it's chill. My name's Tony Weaver Jr. I do a lot of things. I think if I had to describe myself as anything, I would say that I'm a storyteller. I do a lot of writing, which is why my lighting's a little weird right now. I am currently on the side of a mountain in North Carolina on a writer's retreat because there's a new project I'm getting done. But the thing that I write that most people know of is a series called The Uncommons that has over 2 million readers on Webtoon. You should totally check it out. But I also run a company called Weird Enough Productions where I leverage my writing and kind of use the transformative power of manga, comics, and graphic novels to help young people learn to believe in themselves a little bit more. So that's a bit about me.
Love to hear it. Mr. Judkins, would you like to, follow up?
Yeah. Hi, guys. I am Derek Kidnapping Shutkins. I am a professional hip-hop freestyle dancer. And I also am a research assistant and phlebotomist, or just researcher, I guess, at the University of Chicago. I work under the Institution of Population and Precision Health. So when I'm not drawing blood and doing fancy schmancy research things, I am competing. So I've won numerous amounts of competitions, solos, worked with whoever you name it, traveled almost around the country in the cool parts anyway. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I think my first anime is Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know. It's kind of like a fever dream on which came first, but of course I didn't really have access to much. So yeah.
Mr. Eaton, would you like to follow up?
Oh, I am Warren Christopher Eaton. I am a lifelong anime fan. I've been watching since the mid '80s. So since I think I'm the oldest one on the panel. So as far as what I do for my day-to-day, I actually got taken out of the workforce because for my meniscus and then for my other meniscus. So right now I'm focusing on being a stay-at-home dad to my twins, one of which has type 1 diabetes. So that keeps me very busy. I'd have to say, and my first anime that I ever watched 100% was Macross, which is known as Robotech here.
Okay, I'm glad that everybody introduced themselves. Love to hear it. You feel me? My first question is, at this time, since we're doing a blurred thing today, you feel me? At this time, do you feel like we've been accurately depicted in this genre now that there is a more representation, with, I forget, what was it? I believe, I'm gonna just go with that. I forgot the reference, but do you guys think that we've been accurately depicted at this time as Black people in the manga and anime industry?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like not even in any token of the word. As a matter of fact, I feel like most representation that Black people have in manga and anime is still more focused on like worship and uplifting of Japanese culture than it is actually telling stories of Black people. So like, oh, there's a Black samurai. Okay, we didn't have to be, we didn't have to be in Japan at all. You do know there are over 100 different types of ceremonial African swords that all have unique philosophies attached to them. We never had to go to Japan. We never had to be there. You want to tell a story about a Black guy with a sword, Japan like never had to be involved in the story. But what I find for most creators at this point is that instead of telling stories about Black people, they want to tell stories that are like the ones that they grew up with a Black face at the front of it instead. And that's a completely different vibe than trying to tell a unique Black story. I feel like we're in the like mimicry portion of our kind of like creative trajectory.
Anybody else? I would say that there is a bit of appreciation on my own personal side of like just being able to see anybody outside of Mr. Popo. You feel me? As long as I'm not getting that type of representation, I'm pretty happy. But that's kind of bottom of the barrel, But I don't think you're wrong at all. I would assume there should be a bit of like patience, because this is not specifically our art form. This is not specifically derived from us. So it would take time for people to kind of catch up on how are these people actually, what do we actually know about these people? Are we just doing this just because, Black people are cool? I've seen Luffy with a fro. They obviously like something about us, So, I mean, I would hope that there would be, some time to catch up. I'm trying to give that patience and that, benefit of the doubt. But you're not wrong at all. I don't believe that there is any type of like full understanding. And it would be great to see, an anime that is actually in Africa, savannas and things like that. I would love to see that. That's amazing. You feel me? It's historically accurate,
And yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off that. Like, when they say like, are we represented in anime? Like, really, it's only been mainstream in the United States since what, the early 2000s or whatever. It's been around way longer than that, and how many Black people you see in Japan? Not a lot. So do you really necessarily want them telling stories that are inauthentic, since there really aren't many Black people to ask now that it's becoming more mainstream? And, you have companies like Netflix who are releasing stuff and by actual Black creators. I think it's better that they're telling our stories out of a love of the art form versus somebody who doesn't know, what we're about, trying to talk about, our everyday lives or our lives in some sort of fantasy scenario.
Yeah, that could get really out of hand.
Yeah.
and
Very quickly.
And man, this thing of representation, I feel like that word in and of itself has kind of only been talked about roughly within the last 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like you look back and nobody was like, oh, you've heard it in like side conversations, right? You heard people say, oh, I want to see myself in that, or I would like to see myself in this, right? But in terms of anime, I think if anything, if you can even say there was a depiction, it was always what was shown by Western media of us, and which was usually negative. I mean, you look at something like old Dragon Ball, right? When that aired, the way they drew us, they followed the old caricatures of after the Sambo effect. So you got to look at it. I'm like, if they were going to put a Black character in there, a lot of times they were bald, they were huge, they had bubble lips, they had huge noses. You know what I'm saying? And if they did have bubble lips, they were usually like dark red. I mean, take Mr. Popo, for example. I'm not even going to go on that, but that was representation, right? And now you look at it now, we're just starting to get represented in our own media in this country, right? And so, anime, it's from Japan. And so if we're just now getting started as far as being represented here, then I can only imagine how long it would take to get represented over there. But however, things are, lines are starting to get blurred culturally. People are starting to travel overseas, the internet, people are starting to say, hey, you know what? I don't really like the way I'm depicted like this, and so people can say, you know what, let's try this, or let's try that. So people can consult other cultures as far as like how we want to be represented. So, but I think at the current moment, nah, not at all. And if there is like, I think a big one was Yusuke, right? Or Yasuke, which was huge. Which was huge, and it was directed by Flying Lotus, or produced by Flying Lotus. You know, because he wanted to see African American representation, just like in anime, because he knows there's a whole bunch of fans of us, right? So I think it starts with us, but you know, at the current moment, to answer the question, nah, not really.
So I mean, excuse me, real quick. Going off from that segue, has the Black community really given enough support to Black animators and Black-based series to still complain about the representation? I mean, we can talk about what's going on in other communities in other countries, but it'd be a lie to say like, yo, there aren't Black people that draw anime or draw like the style of like manga and anime. That'd be a lie. So do you guys think that we're giving enough like attention to those people? Because honestly, whether it be from a bias or just becoming, you know, just being a giant fan of that, you know, specific platform, you know, Yusuke or however you say it, excuse me, you feel me? I think that the only anime, and I do call it an anime, that we supported was like Boondocks, like fully supported, you know. So do you guys think that we're giving enough support to our, you know, to people that can actually represent us?
There are two prongs to that answer. So I'll bring up the Boondocks like first, right? So you say, oh, the only one that we've like wholeheartedly supported was the Boondocks. Well, yeah, because the Boondocks was good. I'm not gonna go and support something that's not good just because a Black person made it. Like, that's not the vibe, right? I think what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to support Black creators, and I think that we have to show up for them in the same way that we show up for other creators. And the example that I'll use for that are both Marvel and DC Comics. So I'm gonna call some people out, and you can act like you didn't do this. It's fine. You can act like you didn't do this, but I know for a fact that every person that is a comic book nerd that is Black at some point in time Googled Black Marvel characters, Black DC characters, and there were people that popped up that you didn't even know, but that was your homie now. Everybody's like, Blue Marvel. Boy, you don't know Blue Marvel. You didn't organically find Blue Marvel. You looked up a list of Black comic characters. Blue Marvel showed up. And since he was Black and you want to be represented, now you rep Blue Marvel now. DC has Nubia. Nubia popped up one time in like the 70s and then one time in the 90s. Nubia was not a like flagship DC character. Marcus Williams drew fan art of Nubia one time that went more viral than any piece of source material that the character was ever actually in. And suddenly the Black community was like, Nubia, you know, Wonder Woman got a twin sister, Nubia. It wasn't because she was a Black, it's because she was a Black hero that had proximity to Wonder Woman. And now she has her own comic run, her own graphic novel. She's popping up in video games because people showed the support. But the reason that they showed the support, one, because the story was good. They went out of their way to go and find a character that they could go attach to and have as their like Black emotional support character. And I'm like, if you're gonna do that, do it with characters that actually get made by us, right? If you're gonna do that much, because I have legitimately seen Black characters from the big two get fandoms created out of nothing more than some concept art and panels that are in such low res you can't even post them on Twitter. Okay, they get their fandom, but there are Black creators that are making like full-fledged stories, these long-running epics, and nobody's pulling up for it because the big two aren't attached to it. So I think that we should be supporting things that are good, yes, but our barometer for what's good is significantly lower when it comes to some of these major publishers, and I don't like it when people don't keep that same energy with Black creators as well.
I agree, because you know, I think it was, I don't know what it was, but I've actually seen, because you know, when we talk about the Boondocks, right, like it was good for a number of reasons. Number one, it was culturally significant. You know, Aaron McGruder, he's like, all right, like he was already making comic panels that were super relevant to what was already going on in the Black community anyway. So that's what drew people then, right? And then of course, in seasons 1, 2, and 3, you had Moe animation, which made it actually like I can actually relate to this. This is dope. Not just the art style, but the dialogue, everything. And I'm like, okay, like I enjoyed this. It wasn't the fact that it was just an anime and it actually pertained to me, but I can enjoy it. It's funny, it's great, you know. But then you had some, I've seen it around, and I'm not even going to try to guess the name, but it's like this younger kid. He's bald, he's Egyptian. Like if every time that I see somebody wanting to start an idea, right, or I see an idea taking off, I see people go, why don't we support this? And it's like, why does it always have to pertain to Egypt? We have so many, you know what I'm saying? We have so many great stories about us that don't just pertain to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think every time that I see a story among that, it has to pertain to Africa. But I'm like, bro, like there's so many cool stuff over here. You know what I mean? And so, you know, when we talk about support, like I think a lot of people think that, all right, well, since you look at anime, right? They can trace the roots back. They say, wow, we had samurais, we had wars, you know what I'm saying? We had things that were super dope in pop culture media. And I think when it comes down to African-American history specifically, a lot of that was taken away from us. So we can't be like, all right, well, our culture was this, so let's make an anime about this or a manga about this. And it's like, well, you know, the lines get kind of blurred. So I think when it comes down to support, I want to be able to be like, wow, this is dope. Black Panther was one of the ones that I looked up when I first looked it up as far as Black superheroes and Marvel and DC, right? Like that was the first one that I saw. And I'm like, actually, you know, despite everything else, this is dope. He's bulletproof. He's got, you know, vibranium. He's got all this cool, like the culture was dope. Like everything behind it was just amazing. I like that, you know, but then you had somebody who was a little more cliche on DC, like Black Lightning. I'm like, okay, he shoots lightning. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, I'm like, I don't like, at least for me, right, as a consumer, I don't like to see anything cliche. And I know for other people too, it's kind of hard for them to get into something that they've kind of seen before. Like nobody likes the regurgitated tropes.
What I was gonna say is when we speak about all our cultures, it's not exactly that, you know, there isn't anything for them to write about. They don't have to throw us into Japan. They don't have to talk about, you know, Egypt. You know, when I say when my friend here, Tony, if that's okay to call you that, when he says that, you know, like our barometer is so low and that we do need to support, but we need to support something that's good. I think it's a lack of, I don't know, it's hard to say it in a nice way, effort. It doesn't have to be in Egypt. Like I remember, like it was actually very, like it was more, the comic was made more and more of like a DC Marvel style of like drawing. But it was like a guy who, like, it was like some kid in New York with a do-rag, you feel me? His friend has a blade in his mouth, and you know, he has a magic, you feel me? You feel has a magic chain that, you feel me, when he raps, it comes, like everything comes to life. I feel like that's more of a pride thing and wanting to be more traditional and what we should have pride in when it comes down to creation. But as Black people, let's be honest here, should we not just support in general? I mean, we should have taste, we should have critiques, we should always hold somebody to a standard. But is there a problem with, you know, trying to push that agenda? Because nothing's going to be for you unless people like you make it.
So, Chris, go ahead.
Just real quick. So, like, I think there isn't really a problem with like the Black community supporting things made by the Black community in general. Like, if you go on Black Facebook, Black Twitter, wherever, if anything's being made that's even, you know, has involvement with the Black community, it's not like we won't go out and rep and be like, at least check this out. They released, I forget what the movie is called. It was on Netflix. It was a Christmas movie. It had Forrest Whitaker in it, I believe. And it, you know, I heard about it beforehand and like, hey, support. Everybody's, you know, gonna go watch this thing. In my personal opinion, the movie was not great. I don't see how you can have an all Black cast and you can't write one catchy song for a whole damn Christmas movie, but that's a whole nother subject. Like, but I was willing to do that Black people homework for it because, you know, as Black people, if we see our own, you know, in any sort of project, I think we're more than happy to support. And yes, it does have to be good, and then we'll mess with it, you know, and tell other people. But in general, just getting us in the door ain't that hard. You know, we'll rep. It's, at least in my opinion, I think.
So you feel like we do have taste?
Yeah.
We have taste, but you know, it's kind of becoming a bit redundant to just be like, yeah, you go, this is trash, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I don't want to be saying that it's like corny stuff that people release, but a lot of people release a lot of corny stuff just knowing that it's gonna get, it's got Black people in it. We'll show up.
It's a good marketing scheme, I tell you that much.
All right.
If we have time, I'll push back on it a little bit. If we have time, so as a creator, the things that like you go viral on Black Twitter, or like you go viral on TikTok, or like people on Facebook share you around, blah, 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 right? That's like maybe 5% of the Black creators that I know. When it happens to our benefit, and it does really well. But there is a very like specific way that one must market themselves and set themselves up in order to benefit from that wave. And when I say we're not supporting each other enough, I mean it in the sense that I shouldn't have to go tap dance on Twitter for you to share something about me. Like Marvel's like, this is Riri Williams, she's Ironheart. And suddenly everybody's like, Black Iron Man, woo, let's go. I'm getting her tattooed. I'm getting her tattooed. Her first comic isn't even out yet, bro. We don't even know anything about. She's the smartest person in the Marvel universe. Okay, you got it. Yep, you got it. You got it. Like it. Like nobody else has to do that, right? Like major, like to an extent, they're a major publisher, right? So their marketing is more, and I get that. I understand that. It's not going to be the same for somebody that doesn't have the same level of like understanding. When I say that our like barrier is lower, people that aren't even a part of our community can just pop up in our community, throw us crumbs, and we'll like praise it like we have a Thanksgiving feast in front of us. Whereas we can make something and it'll be like totally ready to consume. And I got to go on Twitter and come up with some random sob story, or like, y'all ain't talking about this enough for me, in order to get people to like pull up. And I hate that. I feel like an ideal world is one in which we don't have to do that.
Hey, and societally, we've been doing the same tap dance for, any sort of recognition for a very long time. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Like it's,
Yeah. And it's one of those things that when I look at support, take Off-White, for example. Off-White is owned by Virgil Abloh. I have not seen, like, at least on TV, I have not seen a single advertisement from that. That's Black owned. He doesn't have to say, I need my people to support this. Why is that? Because of what he makes is dope. What he makes is dope. His background is dope. And he actually puts love into what he does, and it holds it to a higher quality. He has an understanding of marketing, right? He's not going to put out some janky t-shirt, you know what I'm saying, that's got a little X on
his hand.
Right. For or Goku with some Air Jordan 1s on, you know what I'm saying? And market like, like he actually has quality materials, and he puts it at a price point that makes sense. People don't, he's not worried. He's not worried at all about his company struggling, So when it comes down to support, like, I feel like we as a people, we like what we like. And yes, there is a certain amount of us that actually want to support something because it's us. But there's actually, I'll give you another example. There's a creator, his name is Joe Freshgoods. He's in Chicago. If you don't know who he is, he owns a clothing line, a clothing front called Black Tiger or Fat Tiger Workshop. It's a Black Tiger Workshop. Fat Tiger Workshop, and he's worked with everybody from the Obamas, Chance the Rapper, you name it, Nike, Adidas, Converse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And people come and sell his shoes out, his clothes out in droves. He had Sneaker of the Year last year in 2020. He didn't need to do a rally cry. It's because of the precedent that he set with his brand and what he views as his brand as important. So I think when it comes down to us and supporting something, we support something that's dope. And it even helps if it's from a Black creator. It helps. It makes me take pride in what I'm doing or what I'm wearing or what I'm getting myself involved in. But it's kind of hard to market like, oh, just support me because it's Black. Okay. All right. And then what? Because then it's like we're settling for mediocrity. But I think when I say that, it's because we have so little that whenever we're actually thrown anything at all, we're like, wow, I gotta get on that because it's us, right? You look at looking up comic book characters, right? It's because there was so little that the moment that we found one, it's like, I gotta hold this in stride because that's me. You feel me? And of course, now that more characters are coming out, now that we could be, or more, I wouldn't say coming out, I would say more brought to focus. Now we can be like, I don't really like him as a character, but he's cool. You know what I'm saying? So I think scarcity is a big one, but I think when it comes down to quality of what people are putting out, that's a big one.
So just in general, for anybody watching Blurds, it's nice to support, but have some class, have some class, have some taste, if you really like this, really enjoy it. Now, on the other spectrum of this question, are there any shows you feel like actually, let me say it like this. What shows do you think have represented us the best? And my favorite personally is Black Lagoon. I personally forgot the name of the character. I forgot his name. But he's like the captain of the ship, very calm guy. Dutch, that's his name, Dutch. I personally feel like he was a great representation because it's not like he had to tap dance and, I don't know, eat chicken and watermelon. Oh, I'm sorry, is that inappropriate? To like be a great character. He had depth, he had to understand. So is there any character that you personally feel like was great representation for you or somebody that you could hold on to?
Like, I would probably go with Lisa from Macross / Robotech. Like, she was, the second in command of freaking Macross battleship, and she wasn't taking no mess from nobody. She was in an interracial relationship with the second best, pilot in the fleet. And I was like, oh man.
I personally think that's a W.
They were throwing all the craziness back at me back then. So I was like, all right, well, is this, this is a good world to kind of look at like that, or, even with Star Trek, just being in the room is always nice. And being in a position of power, way better.
Anybody else? Y'all want to cloud up any of y'all favorite Black characters?
I like Ogun from Fire Force. He's chill. But honestly, for me,
I gotta correct you, Ogun.
Is that where I'm at?
Ogun.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you pointing me in the right direction. Any character that's voiced by Zeno Robinson, I'm kind of like, all right, where do I sign up? Where do I go? If you want to talk about manga and anime, I think that one thing that's fun is that there's like a whole generation of like Black voice actors, like Zeno Robinson, AJ Beckles, and there's Quinones, Cassia Wulu. There's a whole like generation of Black voice actors that are like coming up and that are doing some really amazing work to make space for us in these places, and I really appreciate their work as well.
As far as for me, I don't have one. I don't have a favorite Black character. And here's why though. I think when it comes down to me and related, he said, wow, how could it be? I think when it comes down to me and what makes a favorite character for me is the fact of how much it relates to me. When I look at different forms of anime, man, there aren't much, if at all. And I think I wanted to be like, wow, this character is so dope, and I think he's Black. No, not really. He's not Black. He's a very melanated Asian individual. So I can't even be like, wow, like he's Black. And I think, and that's the problem, right? I think people let's look at Naruto, right? And you had the Cloud Village. There's a huge community where they think they're Black. I personally don't think they're Black. I don't. I think there's a lot of about tropes, and there's a lot of African-American tropes in that. You know what I'm saying? But when I see it, when I think Black, right, I'm thinking of them having our features, them having our culture behind it, not just the fact that they have a little bit of melanin. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what got me confused. I'm like, man, I really like him. He's a dope Black character. Oh no, he's not. He's actually just melanated.
Apparently.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and I don't think there's any piece of media that actually says, like, okay, look at Naruto, for example, if you're from the Cloud Village. I don't think that there's a piece of media that says, yes, these are people of Black descent or African descent. They're just so happen to be melanated. And so I used to be, oh, wow, I like B. But then there was a conversation that I saw that like, oh, he might not even be Black. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And someone's like, well, he raps. I'm like, okay, that's borderline stereotypical. You feel me? So I'm like, I don't, it's hard for me. So when it comes down to me and having a favorite character, it has to relate to me on a personal level, not just the color of my skin, but actually on a personality and narrative driven basis. So I don't have one. I don't want to pick one just simply because he's black. You feel me? Like, it's more to it than that. At least for me, it's multifaceted.
I can respect that. And I'm going to try and send you every black character that I personally appreciate with respect. You feel me? I'm going to send them straight to you. Now, on a lighter note, what is it that makes you take hold or really invest in a series? What makes you feel like, yo, I gotta, like, if they have 300 chapters, what makes you read straight through them? Me personally is delinquency or being against the system. Personally, I'm really heavy in like Tokyo Revengers right now. I was a big fan of Yusuke. You feel me? Let's see whom else. You feel me? I was. When you watch the Boondocks, you usually can figure out which character. I'm mad I keep bringing them up, but like I was big on Huey. Yeah. So like, what do you like? These are the type of shows and like mangas that I personally, could run straight through. What is it that makes you feel like this is worth, your time, that you could just digest with no problem?
It's gonna sound backwards, but animes and pieces of media that don't take themselves seriously. Like, there's one like the Cautious Hero is Overly Cautious. It's about the hero that is OP, and he's like, you know what? I need to go train, and I need to be like level 1000 to take on this level 1 slime. Like, hold on a second, I'll be right back. And then unleashes his ultimate attack on a tiny little slime that only requires like one hit, or One Punch Man is a good one. Mob Psycho is another. Let's see. I think, hey, haven't you heard of Sakamoto? Where like the story is literally just this guy being cool. Like that is the entire narrative of just the guy is super cool, and people try to like make him look stupid, and they can't because he's just cool and he looks good. Like, I like anime like that don't take themselves too seriously. That kind of understand that it is an anime, and they know the type of people who are watching, and they say, oh, okay, all right. So here, I'm going to give you this because you don't expect it. So those are my favorite types of anime.
Anybody else?
Chris, you got it. Look, you got something to say.
Oh, I always look like I got something to say. I don't often have something to say. What gets me into animes, I'm like simple, man. Like, if you get me with like a banging open, like, you can get me hooked real easy. Like, or
do you mean opening? Like, you talking
like
about
an opening scene, or like opening like video package? Like, you get either of those. Like, I just watched like The Great Pretender, and I had to restart it like 3 times because I thought the subtitles were broken on my Netflix, because it always starts in subtitles. I was like, what's going on? I thought I put it to English. And yeah, like they do a big swerve where like the actual voice actors take over like 15 minutes in. And I was like, all right, I'm watching this. You're gonna do something like that, you're obviously up my alley. And yeah, so I mean, get me with a good intro and then follow it up with 3 or 4 good episodes. You got me till the end. So
my taste is pretty basic. If it looks good, I'll watch it. Even if I don't like the show, if it looks good, I'll watch it. I've seen all of Sword Art Online. After the first 12 episodes, the plot literally dives into the bottom of the garbage can. But I've seen every single episode because it looks good. Alicization?
I disagree. I disagree.
We can have a conversation about the show that I colloquially refer to as Dating My Sister Online. Please, we can.
Right.
That's a good point. And no, he's faithful, bro.
We can have a conversation.
He was dating his sister, bro.
Kirito is probably one of the most like bland characters I have ever seen, like ever. And I understand that the whole thing about harems is that it's supposed to be that like it's supposed to be like a self-insert for the viewer to make themselves feel like they could get with the ladies. But I'm like, no, man, you shouldn't be able to do that. If you don't embody lovable traits, then you should not get to pull up at the show and put yourself in the place of the person everybody loves. You better like You better go start respecting women if you want. You want girls to like you. Get it together, bro. Stop being musty if you want. If that's what you want.
I'm glad he spoke on that because there's a little lack of conviction. A little lack of conviction when on the deodorant side. But anyway,
you got it. I don't want to derail us. Keep going.
Continue. My bad. I something.
If it looks good, I'll watch it. That's it. If it looks good, I'm gonna pull up. If it doesn't look good, then I'm like, you didn't put the effort in to animate it. So like, well, I'm gonna put the effort in to watch it. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Okay. So can I ask y'all this? Like, in a sense of like me personally, when I'm watching an anime, writing comes first. It has to be a story that I just completely enjoy or that seems interesting. Then the animation. Then, maybe character development can switch with animation, but like, that's the thing. Where exactly do you guys, what exactly goes in order for you? What is it that's like, when it comes down to your standards, what do you put first?
I'll go first. Yeah, I definitely love something that's well written, but like, I need to be able to get to that point of like visually, like, okay, I'm engaged with this. Like I see they like put their time in. I'll watch stuff like with my kids. I watch like Dino Girl Galco, which is literally drawn like some little kid doodled it, but it's a fun show and it's written well enough to get it past that. So I guess, yeah, like art, but you have to have writing to, keep me in on it.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think with me specifically, because I draw, I do graphics because I use Procreate. I don't do anything like professionally, but I do sell it from time to time, just to friends and family and such. So when, at least for me visually, it goes animation first, then art style, and then art style, then it has to go into story and writing. So I give you a good example, like a good example and a bad example. A good example was Hunter x Hunter, right? I started watching that and I was like, okay, like I like this and I like the art style, I like the animation. The animation wasn't amazing, but at the time, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can get into this, and the story is what kept me. A bad example would be God of High School, at least the anime for me. It was visually impressive. I just, the fight scenes, the animation look top tier, and then I got to the story and I'm just like, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I have no idea what they're referring to, stuff that if you read the manga, you would understand, but just watching, you're just like, where did he come from? How did you know how to do this? They're not explaining anything. I'm expecting it to follow the guideline of they're explaining what attack they're about to do. They're not doing any of that. They're just throwing random attacks out in the blue. I don't and so that's a bad example of, okay, like this is what got me, but it didn't keep me. So I kind of just spent through all the boring narrative bits and just waited till another crazy super dope fight scene came. So
I'm gonna choose violence. I'm gonna talk smack. Here we go. So like, I think for me, animation is most important. Like it has to look good, and then story is most important. But my unpopular opinion is that writing is not as important to people as they claim it is. What's important is the writing in like the first 6 to 12 episodes, like the first arc. But if they hook you in that first arc, they can be as trash as they want for the rest of the show and you won't leave. Case in point, Attack on Titan. First season, boom, amazing, great. Second season, we're doing well. Third season, whoop. Fourth season, whoop. And everybody's still waiting for the next part. I'm not going to spoil anything. I've read to the end of the manga. If I had known that it ended like that, I wouldn't have started watching. But they got us so hype in the first part of the show. We got so hyped with the Chris, you said the theme song for the first season of Attack on Titan. My God, beautiful, amazing. They're swinging around trees like Spider-Man. They're meat giants. What is this? What am I watching? And you get like a couple of seasons in, and it's like, you have not actually offered tangible like solutions or answers to any of the mysteries that you set for. Do you have an answer? Do you have a plan, right? There's something you're planning, right? And it's like, I don't know what we're watching. Everything's really slowly paced. Like, well, he has a plan. But he has a plan. But he has a plan, right? And then you get to the last chapter, and you're like, wow, there was never a plan. Wow, I just got caught up in Spider-Man swinging motions. That's all that's required to get like 4 years of my life in anime servitude. This is ridiculous. I'm the same way. I'll bring it up. Naruto. I love Naruto. I'm on TikTok a bunch. Like the videos that I started making on TikTok were like all like Naruto related videos. I love Naruto. I love it so much. After like the second arc in Shippuden, nobody really knew what was going on. Like things weren't like really clear. And then like we got to the last like Great Ninja War, and like we were in the same war for like a year and a half to 2 years in the manga. Like we were in the same war for like 2 years. People, everybody and their mama came back. Everybody got Edo Tensei. You were like, I don't even remember you. Where did you come from? The Seven Swordsmen of the Mist popped up, and you're like, you got mentioned in like episode 16. I kind of forgot about you, but I'm happy to see you. Like if they hook you in the beginning, I think anime fans will sit through literally anything if you hook them in the first part.
I don't think that that's technically a problem. I mean, you're a writer. If you can get people, like if you can kind of relax things in a sense and then keep hooking people little by little within your show or your books or your series, what have you, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, personally, as a One Piece fan, and I have it tatted, I have One Piece tatted. I love hearing about dude that I ain't seen in forever. And, you know, when you read the manga, they're like, yeah, this is what so, you know, chapter from like 80 billion years ago is doing apparently, because now they're eating cookies with a squirrel. I don't know why, that guy. But I personally enjoy that. And as far as wars, I mean, it's not too off par for a war to last long, so I'm not mad at that, but you're not wrong.
One Piece is not included in this conversation. Anything that Oda puts on that page, it's there for a reason, and it comes back. It comes back. It means something. Even if I'm like, I have no idea what's going on, I trust him. I'm like, you made a whale important. I don't know the power that you hold. Sure, whatever you want to do, man. I'm here. I might not get it right now, but it'll come back, and it always does. It always does. So Oda, I'm like, I trust you.
I'm gonna say this. Me and Sir Judkins over there, we're actually like very personal friends, and I've been trying to convince him to watch One Piece. So if this, and I'm not sure if you know Mr. Tony here, but he is basically the voice of a lot of Black anime fans right now. And yeah, you should watch One Piece. But moving on with our
watch One Piece, bro. You got to do it.
Listen, man. listen.
Wait, no, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. He does the same thing that everybody. It's too long.
Trust me, there's a hot take coming in a second. You don't even know.
I can't. You know what? I'm a briefly touch that subject, and then we can move on. When it comes down, I can't even say it's too long anymore, because I recently saw a post that was talking about how many episodes does Pokemon have, right? And it's way more than One Piece. I was like, okay, that's fair. You know what I'm saying? So I think now you're talking about like the first few episodes, right? The first few episodes ain't doing it for me, man. I'm sorry.
You know what? That's totally okay. Watch the movies. Every arc gets compiled into an 1.5 to 2 hour movie. You watch the movies up until like Skypiea if you want to. I watch the movies up until Water 7. Water 7 for me is when it got really good. And like after I finished, I was like, all right, now I kind of want to go back and watch like the whole thing. I agree with you. I felt the same way. First episodes, they were not hitting. But Oda is one of the few manga authors where I'm like, man, if I give you your time, you can like really do, you can really do something.
You gonna cry.
See, now he's posting solutions. Because beforehand, I'm like, maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm just supposed to be the minority here. I like that idea. I'm gonna try that.
Mr. Eden, anything to say?
Oh, nothing. I was just saying that yeah, if you haven't watched One Piece, yeah, you're gonna have a hot take here in a second. But as far as like stories going on and like I think that goes on with a lot of our favorite shows, like in Rurouni Kenshin. For some reason, there was like a 3-episode arc where he went off and messed with pirates for no reason, and And I'm not even gonna bring up Bleach and the Bounce Saga. Like, you know, sometimes they just take a hard left turn. You're just like, don't worry, just skip those next like 10 episodes and we'll be good again.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a fan of skipping. So if you do decide to go into One Piece, do not skip Skypiea. It is a drag. It does suck, but don't do it.
I say this for people who are like haven't watched yet. I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I'm here for it.
We caught up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on. So like I assume, you know, since we're all males here and we always had, you know, males are quick to go to the shonen area. Can I ask you guys, because it's kind of a trope, what is your most motivational show? What show makes you feel like getting up and go? You feel me? I mean, Naruto sort of. Sometimes I'm just like, man, I ain't got parents. So like, damn. But you feel me? Like Haikyuu, I'm like, oh, I need to go work out. I need to go figure out something going on in my life. You know, is there a show that makes you get up and go?
Put that Gurren Lagann on. Put it on.
All day.
All day. Believes in you.
Give Kamina the microphone, and whatever barrier is in front of me will not be there by the time he is done.
Love it. I love it. Anybody else? Anything that makes you get up and go?
Man, it used to be Naruto because that's what I grew up with. I remember specifically in the fall of 2003. You know, I was a tyke, and you know that's what because I honestly at the time that's what kind of got me, you know, into really like knowing what anime was, and it was the first time I had ever seen a show where I'm like they're throwing rocks at a kid and it's okay and it's airing. Like this is, you know, they're like they hated him. I'm like, wow, like that's actually kind of relatable. Now, mind you, they weren't throwing rocks at me, but you know, the whole ostracization of a small person, I'm like, wow, I really relate to that. Okay, cool. And so I'm like, okay, well, if he keeps a positive mindset through it, I guess I can too. You know what I'm saying? I think now, when we're talking about like motivation, it's not really one specific one, but it's like a multitude of shows. Again, that kind of goes back on shows that don't really take themselves serious. I like protagonists that don't necessarily take themselves too serious, you know? Like, I think it was a few years ago where I had first been introduced to One Punch, right? This was the first, like, they weren't airing the shows anywhere but online. And I was watching this. I was like, okay, this is dope. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he's OP. I like that. That's interesting. Like, I like somebody who doesn't take themselves too serious, you know? And that makes me feel good because I'm like, I see a whole bunch of people, especially in competing, right? When I compete, you know, because you've been around the battle scene too. Like, there's a whole bunch of people who are like, I gotta win. I gotta da-da-da-da-da. I gotta carry this big ass trophy. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't cuss. Big butt trophy. But, and then here I am. I'm like, wow, I'm happy to be here. Cool. All right, that's dope. Wow, you guys all are amazing. And then I snap. And it's like, oh my gosh, man, what do you do? I'm like, I don't know, man.
I can vouch for that. He does snap.
Huh?
I can vouch for that. He does snap. He's a computer.
Yeah, and then I just go, I'm like, well, all right, well, it's good to see you guys. They're like, wow, you're not going to give like any final words? Like, no, it's late. You guys need to go home. Anyway, take it easy. Like, I like characters like that. So that kind of, I take that with me, especially when I go to compete.
And yeah, believe in the me that believes in you. Gurren Lagann all day. That's all that needs to be said.
That one. Okay, so I mean, let's say, okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. So I'm gonna try and make things a bit lighter, you know. So since Mr. Judkins talked about protagonists, which MC would you believe has the best character development, and what MC will you hate till the end of time? Me personally, Tower of I'm sorry, I'm bad with names and birthdays and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't personally like MCs that are super soft. Like anytime something happens, they're like crying and it ends up being a harem all of a sudden because every woman in his life has to save him. I can't stand him. But you know, one of my favorite MCs is probably Rock from Black Lagoon. Luffy, immediately, he's top number one just because he's stupid and it's the mentality of like, if it's in my way, I gotta move it.
Luffy and character development in the same sentence. I've never heard that before. I didn't know that was a thing.
What?
Luffy and character development, I don't think those two go together.
I think there is character development personally, but continue.
Got it. I didn't mean to cut you off. You didn't give us your person that you like, don't like.
Oh no, the person I mean, I don't have a specific character. Like honestly, Aaron in the beginning of like Attack on Titan, it was very irritating. I don't think he had very good character development. But in general, certain MCs I don't like. Matter of fact, Evangelion.
Shinji.
I can't stand him. I can't stand him. Get away from me. I don't want to talk to you.
It's hard. I mean, he's a literal child though. He's a literal child. So I mean, I can see it. But yeah, I can get why that would be frustrating. My opinions differ a little bit. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with being soft. I feel like, how do I put it?
Aaron asked for it though.
I mean, I don't like Aaron as a character. He's bad. I don't like Aaron as a character. I'll get that in a minute. We're talking about somebody I like right now. Personally, I think that if you allow masculinity or like the idea of presenting masculine to allow to force you to embody unhealthy emotional traits, that's an L on your part. And if you can be in a place where you're like, I feel sad, so I'm going to cry, I'm like, I vibe with that. So I like Deku a bunch. Deku's just going through it, man. He going through it.
I'm not mad at him.
He going through it. And obviously the story's not over. So like he's growing over time, right? So like I like how he's progressed so far. I like the differences. I like how his thought process has progressed and things like that. The two types of antagonists that I don't like are protagonists that win just because. So Ichigo, can't stand him at all. Bleach is coming back, and all the Bleach fans have been getting on my nerves because they're so excited for their savior of mediocrity to return, and I can't do it. I hate Ichigo so much. But also characters who like have to make the hard decisions because no one else will. I'm like, that's not true. You're just not smart enough to come up with a decision that doesn't involve collateral damage. Like Aaron at this point in Attack on Titan, if you talk to Aaron's like, I'm doing what must be done. I'm like, no, you're really stupid. And you're so stupid. You're such a poor leader that your leadership style has become collateral damage, and you're convincing yourself that it's because it's the right way to go and not because you're a terrible leader. You're really dumb. You should move out of the way and let somebody that's actually smart lead. Like if Senku from Dr. Stone was in the world of Attack on Titan, I guarantee you he would have a plan that didn't involve killing everyone. Because Senku's smart. Because smart people make good leaders. I don't like it when like anime characters that like really aren't that smart, but yell a bunch and are like really brazen, end up in leadership positions and think that their way is the best way because it's the only thing that they're smart enough to think of. I hate those people. I'm not a fan.
Anybody else?
I say for me, as far as character development goes, I think
Goku, we get into it.
Bro, no, he's the worst one. And I was actually going to mention him as the worst one, but I'll get back to that in a second. I think it's two from Hunter x Hunter. One is Killua for sure. I think when you look at just like the way he started, like there's just like this OP kid, right? And then you actually understand his family, and then you actually see him actually wanting to have a friendship with Gon, right? And it's like, okay, like he wants to be his friend, but as soon as you get to the Chimera arc, he's like, okay, hold on. I don't know if this is right, bro. You're kind of tweaking. Like, I understand you're hurting, but wow. And so he's like, okay, my friend may be too far gone. I'm a little worried, and maybe I should have been a better friend to him. Or like, I think it was one of the episodes where, Gon was in the room with Pitu, and Gon was like, hey, I'm like, you did this, and you sitting here healing Shorty, like, I need you to come back with me and run that, like, for real, because I'm not gonna let that slide. And Killer was like, bro, like, you need to calm down. And then so Gon's like, all right, you know what, fine, I'll calm down. You got an hour, and we running that. And then at the end of the episode, Killer was gone. You know what I'm saying? He's like, all right. And I feel like that was a way for the show to be like, all right, you know what? He cares for his friend, but there's things that are more important. And he's starting to understand that. Because he doesn't really cherish much else, but he cherishes his friendship, and I like that. As far as and the other one was the Ant King. It was very, very short-lived, but I feel like there was a lot of emotions going through that. It started out with him being cold-blooded, to him being introduced to something that he likes, and somebody was attached to that, which was a human. and he has to be able to be like, wow, a human is attached to this, but whatever, fine. I mean, if I lose at this game, or you lose at this game, I'll kill you. So it is what it is. And he's not losing. I'm like, okay, he's finding interest. So that's the other one. But the worst one I think is Goku, bro. Dragon Ball is exciting because of its action, and its story, at least to me, hasn't been compelling since the Cell Saga. And I'm not just talking about Z. I'm talking about GT and Dragon Ball. Goku is like the epitome of, he's a dummy. He eats a lot and he doesn't think about anything, but all of a sudden people just support him just because, like, he just likes to fight. Like, that's as deep as it goes. I had hope in Super that when they introduced a dark-ish kind of twist to the character to some degree. I mean, I know it's with, you know, his body being possessed and things like that. Like, it would kind of make me go, oh, okay, this is how it could be. Nah, like, it's still the same. At the end of the day, he doesn't really learn anything. He doesn't say, all right, you know what, maybe I need to cherish my friendships more, or be a better father, or whatever else. Like, it's just like, all right, like, we did it, guys. All right, and I'm gonna eat and train some more before the next big bad comes. I'm like, and this is what y'all like? Okay, sure.
What I said, remember, they get you in the first arc. You watch Frieza, you watch the Spirit Bomb, you go, wow, lend me your power. Wow, this was amazing. Cell, you follow up, father, son, Kamehameha. Wow, this is great. And before you know it, you're sitting in front of the TV watching a story about a guy named Bibbidi who has a son named Bobbidi that summons a guy named Boo that turns people into chocolate, turns himself into chocolate, eats himself, and reincarnates as a black guy. And you're not even questioning it anymore. Literally, you get him in the first arc. Get him in the first arc, and you're good. You're done. It doesn't matter. They will watch literally anything.
Yep.
Mr. Eden, is there a certain MC that you believe in?
Hey, all right. I'm just gonna cut you off right there. All right. So Vegeta, probably one of the best character arcs of any character ever. He literally goes from a genocidal freaking maniac to like a guy who won't like go help his friends because his child's being born. Like, because it's important that he's with his wife. He will throw down against gods because you smacked his lady in the face. From where he started to where he got, I gotta say, yeah, that character's and the fact that he would sacrifice himself for the earth and has done so like multiple times when all he sees is Goku over there, who, yes, is a happy idiot, but you know, he knows that he's the best chance for humanity or whatever getting through this situation. So I might as well fight with this moron for a while. So yeah, and then my least favorite kind of character is, I mean, I'm from way before you guys as far as watching, but there's a show called Orange Road, and literally the main character, his entire story arc was he had the hots for his girlfriend's best friend, and the entire story was them going on little pseudo dates while his actual girlfriend shows up and is like, hi, darling. And he's like, hey, babe. And it takes an entire series and a movie for them to have the one conversation that could have ended it all. And there were multiple seasons. Orange Road. Oh, I don't even remember the main character because it aggravated me so much. I was a little kid.
Hey, I need to go ahead and get your list. I need to get your list. Like, I've seen so many like 80s and 90s. I love the style. I gotta see it. Apparently that is all the time we have, guys. But personally, I would love to take a picture with you guys. Is that okay? Is it okay if I take a picture? Because this is
most definitely.
You know, you guys ready?
Here for it.
Let's go.
All right. 3, 2, 1. This is amazing for me. I love it. I love it.
I can't tell you guys how much I love this whole panel. You guys did absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I was messaging Krista. I'm bouncing in my chair because this is amazing. Tony had some hot takes in there that I was like, yes. Like, this was amazing. Thank you guys for this amazing panel.
I still don't agree about Luffy. He had some character development. I mean, physically mostly.
He did, and then it went away. It happened
Okay, you gotta have faith in Oda. You said you had faith.
right after the war. He was good, and then halfway into Fishman Island, he was literally right back to the same person that he was.
So sadly, yes, this is we are wrapping up now. Krista, I think you wanted to ask if there was any audience question.
Yeah, we have like 1 minute. If there's anybody in the audience who wants to pop a question into the chat on Facebook or on Zoom, we have a minute. We can see if anybody has any questions here.
I don't have Facebook pulled up, so you'll have to see if anyone's
Let me check that out. Hold on one second.
Man, you guys, whew, I was just sitting here like, I want to talk to you. I want to take these guys out to dinner. Let's go have an anime and manga.
Hey man, listen, I'm here for you said food.
Let's go.
Talking anime and food, I'm with all that.
Tell me
Tony,
when and where.
Tony, if you ever find yourself in the Chicagoland area, let us know. All right. We'll get us all together.
All right. It looks like there are no questions.
Okay.
But someone says, I don't have a question, but I'm here for the attack on Titan Salt. This was great. That was from Derek.
Great.
Thank you guys
so much.
Thank you for having us.
Great. Yeah. Great. And there will be a recording available too on the librari's YouTube page. So
yeah, share it to all your friends, fans, everyone. Share it out.
There's also stuff I'm going to email you guys. I want everybody's social media. We got anime. I'm with all that. I already follow you, dude. But yeah.
I mean, it's under my name on the Facebook.
All right, then. Well, let's all sign off. Bye, everyone. Thank you all so much.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, everybody who watched. Everybody have a good night.
Have a good one.